here's our dappled light section. I'm just gonna quickly go through some of my top favorites. Remember, as we were making these, we were really thinking about the composition, the foreground and background composition of what we were using to frame the subject's face, and then also what shadows we were casting on their face. This came in two different sections, one where we're using this kind of very direct shadow using props or just branches that we found that we liked. And then we also had this other section where this is more of a dappled light effect. Again, with the dappled light, you really want to be thinking about how your subject is being lit. This one is something that I actually overexposed, and that is easy to do when you're trying to capture light and shadow, but it's better to be a few f-stops down just to make sure. It's easier to bring up information out of the shadows than it is to bring down information from the highlights. So it's better to underexpose like I did here versus overexpose like I did here. So when you're shooting, it's just something to remember. This is one that I really loved, where we're just, using these, natural tools to create this shadow on her face. But what the ones that I want to edit from this section are some of these. I really liked the way that these were coming out. Let's go ahead and work with this one. So this one is we're using a kind of direct light effect. We're getting a lot of direct light here and a lot of high contrast. We can also see that kind of here in her eyes. We're getting a lot of contrast, and we've got this really beautiful light that we're capturing right on her eye. So I want to keep a lot of that information, so I'm going to just bump the contrast up a little bit. Again, with direct light, I love to kind of lean into the contrast instead of trying to soften it. Just adding it, bumping it up a little bit, and really getting those shadows to pop. I am going to bring the highlights down a little on this one. It's a little bit too bright. You're probably going to end up seeing that a lot when you're working with shadow work inside dappled light, that you're going to probably be bringing down the highlights quite a lot, just because you're trying to also expose for the shadow part of the subject. So just remember that kind of balance. And then gonna bring the clarity down here just to give it that soft glow that I really, really like. And again, I want to play here with some of the colors. I think that this one with a little bit of a pink tint to it actually looks really, really nice. So I'm just bringing up that pink tint. And then I want to play with, again, with the way these front leaves are. So I'm going to go back down to my color and just see what this green looks like. So it's actually not changing too much. So I'll just leave it like that. Let's play with the aqua. Not really seeing too many changes here. So I guess I'm just gonna leave it this kind of like brightened green. And then this one is just, I think, such a beautiful photo all on its own without a lot of edits. So here actually all I did was tint, contrast, highlights, and this green coloring and clarity. So that's just 4 really simple tools that I used. And then I'm already really liking this photo, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Let's just look at the difference. So here the colors are a lot more flattened, and again, Steffi's complexion is a little bit overexposed. And so here we go to the final product, and it's just much more of kind of like a rosiness to it, and we're really seeing these shadows pop in this kind of last rendition. I just don't think that you need really too many edits. If you have a really interesting and dynamic composition, you don't really need to change too much. Just a little contrast boost, bring down the clarity. And then again, I love this kind of rosy glow. So I'm gonna keep going back to that. And then, yeah, I just think that these are really kept simple, are really, really nice. Again, you can play with the editing however you want, but I think keeping it simple is really nice.